Ladies and gentlemen, to start our month off, the first Monday of the month, I couldn't think of a better young lady who we all love and appreciate her. She's what's the saying, a little piece of leather, but she's well put together. And I like she's 5 foot full of fun. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, can we give a warm welcome to none other than Miss Roxann Corralejo?
Wow, good morning. What a gorgeous view. I'm a little bit jealous right now. That looks amazing. I wish I was out there with you. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. I appreciate you. And I love that no matter where you are in the world and what you're doing, you're always on this call. You're always here for us. And sometimes we have some glitches, some issues. Some people can't jump on, and you're always there to step in and just say, all right, well, let's do some Q&As. Let's me do something. So I do want to say one thing, and I'm surrounded by dogs, so you might see a little head pop up every now and then. I do apologize, guys. But I do want to say something about the speakers on these calls, and it's just so great that Mr. Thomas has put this together for us. And I know I say this every single time, but I truly do mean that because we have such a phenomenal list of speakers and presenters. And I'm not saying that because I'm featured for this month, but because I gained so much from this. And how many of you have ever paid for a course, seen a motivational speaker, paid for it? Yes, Hand Sensational was the first one. I have, girl, I've been there. I get it. Absolutely. Yes. So we paid for these coaches, these classes, these speakers. And I've done it, of course. If you haven't, shame on you. I'm really sorry for saying that. But our biggest investment that we can make is in ourselves and being able to grow and learn from other people as well as making that investment in yourself. So please do find those people, those speakers that you want to listen to and grow. The very first time I met Miss Jocelyn Driscoll was when she did a presentation on investing in yourself. It was at South Lake Tahoe, first time I ever met her. She did this presentation. After that presentation was done, I bought every service I thought I didn't need. I did not sell out to ACN at that time. But after her presentation, I said, you know what? You're right. I got to invest in myself. I purchased every service I thought I didn't need. And here I am today as a regional director in front of you guys today. So invest in yourself. But that list of speakers and presenters and people that I've seen and I continue to see and read and listen to, nothing really stands up to this call. And I truly mean that. No matter who I listen to or what I hear, I pull bits and pieces from everything. And sometimes those are in my presentations myself, my conversations with you guys, because it meant something to me. And you guys will probably hear I'm by an airport, so there's going to be a lot of planes going over. Hopefully I can speak loud and you can hear me over this thing as it gets close. But I pick bits and pieces. But the reason why this is so important to me in this call is because there's speakers and people that are going through what we're going through. I can relate. And that is the best speaker you can ever listen to is someone you can relate to. If it's something you can't relate, it's not going to make sense to you. It's not going to dig deep. It's not going to hit your heart. But the people on this call, man, these conversations with Mrs. Driscoll have definitely hit home for me. They definitely hit my heart, and they are what drive me. So these speakers that Mr. Thomas has listed, I do not take for granted, and I hope you guys don't as either, because not only can I relate to what they've been through or what they're going through, I also they've reached places that I want to reach. They're going places I want to go to. And I know you guys want to be there as well. It is a holiday weekend, a holiday. There are 39 people on this call. I honestly have not seen 39 people on this call before because everybody are out doing whatever they're doing, getting ready for barbecue, sleeping in, whatever there is that they're doing. But you are here. You're here because you know you have a purpose. You're here because you know that this is something that's beneficial for you. So please take from this whatever you can. And I want to congratulate you. Yes, Jackie's clapping her hands. Absolutely congratulate you for being here today because you made a commitment and you showed up. And that is so important. So thank you, Mr. Thomas. I appreciate all that you do, but I also appreciate everybody that you give us the opportunity to relate with, to listen to have these conversations with everybody from every position, it seems like, that he has on these calls. And they've just been so great and really are near and dear to my heart. So even if I miss the call, I go back and I listen to the recordings. And I hope you're listening not just for yourself. Yes, the biggest investment is in yourself, but also we're here to give to other people as well. This is a people business. I know sometimes when I'm on Facebook, social media, whatever it is, and I see a reel and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think of my sister, I think of my friend, or so and so is going through this right now. They need to hear this. How many of you have done that? Have you heard something and you forward it because you're like, this person needs to hear it, right? Absolutely, because you're thinking of other people, those people that you love, and you're like, man, this could help them, or whatever it is. Well, these calls are that same thing. I listen to these calls that same way, and I say, you know what? So and so needs to hear this. Do you go back and do you replay? Do you look at your notes? Do you take further notes? Do you forward these links, the YouTube links to these calls, to other people in your life? I do. I know I've heard things from other presenters and other people where I'm like, oh man, this person needs to hear it. I'll copy the link. I sent to them. I said, hey, you know what? At minute 14:06, this part really made me think of you, but I really want you to hear all this. Or this person really made me think of you. She definitely has that drive and that motivation that you have. Whether they're in the business or not, I still utilize this as a tool because that's exactly what this is. I hope when I say don't take it for granted, and that's just like not sitting here and just listening to people talk. Utilize this call to what it's made for, to the best of its advantages. There's so many advantages to what this has, not only learning for ourselves, but helping other people as well. So absolutely, I love these. I went off on a little bit of tangent, but what I want to talk about today goes into just passion and drive and our heart and what gets us to do what we do, or it gets us to do what we don't do, or don't do what we do. However that makes sense to you. It makes sense in my head, so hopefully I can relate that properly. But what I'm trying to say is that we've been told to focus. I want to focus on drive. What drives us? And that goes beyond our reason why and beyond motivation. I know they sound like synonyms. I'm going to break it apart just a little bit and how I've broken it apart for myself. So the reason why, that's the first thing we're trained on. I know for me, when we were doing this regularly before COVID, we had these trainings. We always talked about finding your reason why. And a lot of people still talk about it. And we always have to dig deep to find that reason why. Well, for me, that was really hard for me because I felt like I never really had a strong reason why. I don't need to retire my parents. That's not an issue for me. I don't have any children I need to get through college. That's not something I need to do. I just never had that strong reason why. And I said, okay, I love my sister's kids to death. My nieces and my nephews are my heart. If any of you know me, I always go out and I talk about them. I've talked about them on this call. They are my world. So my reason why has always been to move my sister into a better school district for her kids. So her kids are teenagers. My niece, the youngest one, is now 11 years old and she's starting middle school. Oh my God, bless her heart. I'm so scared for her. But by this point, I've been in ACN for over 5.5 years now. I'm going on 6 years this January. In 6 years, I told myself I would be able to have this business. I will be RVP on my way to senior vice president so that I can get my sister into a house wherever she wants to live in California, where it's the most expensive, out of this school district. So right now she lives in Palmdale. I've never liked the school district she's in. My niece has been homeschooled. Actually, all of her kids have been either homeschooled or independent study, whatever it is, just because of the school district. Well, my niece begged and begged and begged my sister to go to school. She wanted to have friends, so she went. But my problem with that and why I was trying so hard to get, for my reason why, them into a better school district is because kids are mean. That's really it. Kids are mean and they start so young. She's 11 years old. And even before that, she had issues with girls picking on her. My niece, my sister, hates it, but she is a little more like me. She dances to the beat of her own drum. She will be in the middle of soccer practice and just start dancing and singing and twirling and doing her own thing because that's her and that's what makes her happy. And I love her for that. But the other girls think that that's a reason to pick on her. And that drives me bonkers. So because she doesn't conform to them, she gets picked on often. And so now she's back in school. It's been a couple days. I think it's been a full week now. And it's already been terror on her. She's coming home crying. It's just been a mess. And she's 11 and she's the sweetest thing. And I'm just so scared that they're going to kick that sweetness out of her. So for me, that was a strong reason why, because I didn't want this to happen. That was a very strong reason why. And they said, if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not strong enough. Well, that's my strongest why ever. This little girl is now going through these issues that I foresaw 5.5 years ago, that when she got to this age, I just felt in my heart that this was going to happen in this little girl. But why am I not there yet? Because I feel it's more than just a reason why. We need more than just that statement to retire our parents or whatever it is. And it's what drives us. And what drives us, we have to dig a lot deeper than just surface level. So trying to get them into a new school district, that is surface level. It really is. And I wasn't able to complete that task. And to relate, Miss Jen Olson, I don't think she's on this call, and I don't think she'll mind me sharing this with you, but sharing with Miss Jen Olson, her reason why was to retire her parents. And now in ACN, for however many years she's been in ACN, she's like, man, this has been my reason why. Strong. I love my parents. I want to retire them, but she hasn't been able to retire them yet. How many of us are in that same boat where you've had these goals, you've had this reason why? Absolutely. And I see Bob and Sensational and people nodding their head. Yes, absolutely. Sam Foster, I have this reason why. I have not met it yet. Why not? Why have I not met this goal? Because it goes beyond your reason why. Now, when I talk about drive, we start thinking of motivation. If I say, what drives you, you think about, all right, what motivates me? Well, motivation fades. Anything can motivate us. The song at the beginning of this call motivated me. Man, I was dancing. I was like, yeah, let's go. And every time, these calls are great to motivate me. That's one of the reasons why I love plugging into these calls, because every day at 11, I jump on this call. By 11:30, I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to work. Sometimes I can go all day just off the high of this call. But then sometimes, let's say 2, 3 o'clock, something happens. I get a phone call. I get too many no's, whatever it is. And that motivation fades. And what do I do at that point when it starts fading? So we need something stronger than motivation as well. We have these speakers and everything. We get on this high. Maybe that high lasts for a week or two. But just like every beginning of every single year, we're on this high, we're motivated, we're ready to make a change. But come a couple weeks in, it fades and it goes away. So how do we continue? Now, we got to focus on what drives us, what pushes us, what makes us who we are, essentially. And that goes back into thinking about, one, our purpose. Who are we? Why are we here? Why, I keep saying, do we do the things we do, or what keeps us from doing the things we do, or even that we want to do? When life happens, we go through all these certain emotions and keep pushing things on the back burner. And for most of us, that's ACN. ACN gets put on the back burner so often because it's easy. It's easy to push it aside because no one's going to yell at you. No one's going to talk to you about it. Nothing's going to happen. But that's the problem with it, is that when nothing happens, nothing happens. And then you're wondering why you are where you were however many years ago or however many months ago, and why you haven't progressed to where you want to progress. So as we talk about what drives us, it's going to be different for every single person because it depends on our history. It depends on how we grew up. It depends on how we take things and emotions and how we process these things. So for some people, it might be money. I know some people that just, what drives them is money. It really is. And for those people, they will kick butt at this because they see it. Now, if I told you I will hand you $100 for every single service you get, would you go out and get more services? Some people are thinking, yeah, heck yeah. You say $100, if I just sign up a TV, I'm going out and I'm getting a TV today for that $100 bill, right? Well, I mean, if we do the math, it essentially can break down to $100 a service with all these bonuses we have on the table, maybe even more. It's kind of crazy to think about it. But if we were talking about this electricity bonus that we've had, with 5 electricity accounts, you get the 200 bonus for 5 services, and then 200 bonus for electricity account, you get $400 for 5 services. Now, why aren't we doing that? All of you, everyone that I see with an open screen said, yeah, if you give me $100 a service, I'll definitely go out and get a service. Well, ACN is giving you $100 a service. Why haven't you done it? Because it's the minimum is 5. Now you're thinking, well, it's not one service, Roxann, it's 5 services. Yeah, but the money is still there. The money is still the same. It's not exactly 100, but we're close, right? But so some people, when you throw that dollar amount out there, they're like, heck yeah. We have who was it? We have some people, Hunter Nelson made $10,000 of income claims. I'm sorry. If he got 100 services, the compensation plan with that electricity bonus says he can make $10,000 off 100 services. And so what did he do? He went out there and got 100 services. What? 100 services, gas services in California, a service that nobody wants to get, nobody's even talked about, but he's out there getting it. Why? Because the money is there. And right now, that's what's motivating him. That's what's driving him. Mr. Efren Tejada, I don't know how many of his trainings you've heard or listened to, but he's done some pretty emotional ones where he talks about how he first started ACN and he was not in a good place. And when he was ready to, he was at an event. I don't recall what event it was. And you have to listen to his story told by him, of course. But they didn't have a place to stay. They didn't have money. They all carpooled out there. A whole bunch of them packed into a car. They carpooled out there. What did they do? They sat at an overnight fast food restaurant, whether it was McDonald's, Burger King. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they sat there, ordered a soda so they can stay there and say they ordered something. But that's how they spent their night before their event the next day. They didn't even have a room. And he wrote on a napkin or a piece of paper that says RVP Efren Tejada. He has a video of him holding it up saying that he is going to be RVP. And this is when he was an executive team leader, just very, very starting out. And it was a rough road for him. It definitely was. But he's talked about what drives him even through all of his success. And now as a senior vice president, through all of his success, he's talked about still worried about going broke, still worried about having to spend that night in a fast food restaurant. He has a family now. He has kids now, but he is still scared of that. So money drives him. Yes, the money drives him for a deeper purpose, and that's his kids and that's his family, and that's never having them in that situation that he was in before. So for some people, it's money. For me, talking about personally, for me now, it's being there for other people. So when I was younger, I didn't want to go to school sometimes. Kids, they do this all the time. I didn't want to go to school. Same thing with work. Sometimes I just don't want to get up in the morning, and you just don't want to, but we do. When we have a job, when we have other people that are counting on us, when we have other people that we make a commitment to, that we're going to show up for, we do. And that's me, no matter what. Now, I know some people, my chiropractor actually, he had a front desk girl, and the next, like after a couple of weeks, a new front desk girl, and I asked what happened to the other one. And she said, oh, I don't know. She took a couple of days off for the weekend and then never came back in. And in my head, I'm like, how in the world can someone do that? How can they leave someone hanging? I could never do that. So even when I was younger and I didn't want to go to school for whatever reason, I just wasn't feeling up to it. I was having a bad day. We all get in our heads. We all have emotions. Whatever happens, I didn't want to go to school, but I knew I had people there counting on me, whether I had a class project, a presentation, I had people I had to show up for. So that's what drives me. What drives me is what I've been through. It's my history. And the reason why I mentioned I don't have parents to retire. Both my parents have passed away when I was super young. My mom when I was 20 years old. My mom passed away at 20. My dad when I was a lot younger, but I'm the oldest, and I have 2 younger sisters that were in high school at the time. And I was scared to death, not knowing all the laws and regulations that they were going to take my sisters away from me. So what did I do? I quit school, and I went back home, and I had to make sure I had a good paying job, which I got. So I didn't, took a break from school, got a good paying job, but my mom was still on hospice care. So my mom was still very sick. We got her home. All night, she was moaning and groaning, and I had to give her pain medications. I had to take care of her. She had a colostomy bag. I had all these things I had to do, and I took that burden for my sister so they didn't have to. But what happened when I went all night without sleeping? I had to get up and go to work. And I'm not telling you guys this for a sob story or for sympathy, but that is what drives me, is having to show up for other people. Now, I was exhausted. Why did I have to show up for work? One, because my sisters needed a roof over their heads, they needed food in the fridge. But then also because the people that I worked for, they counted on me to be there. Now, if I wasn't there, that would overload on them. That would say, hey, I was a receptionist at the time. They wouldn't have anyone. It wasn't a big, huge, phenomenal position, but they wouldn't have anyone to answer the calls. So what would happen? One of the paralegals would have to come and answer the calls. If the paralegal was answering the calls and the attorney had to step in her position, now they had to figure out who was showing up to court, what all this stuff was going on. So my experiences, my life stories, what drives me is having to be there for other people. That's why I love accountability, because for me, accountability works. For some people, it might not work. And even though I talk about it, it might not work for you, and that is okay. But you need to find what works for you. For me, it's taken a lot of reflection to get here and know why I do the things that I do. What drives me? So I want you to think back and focus. What drives you? Why do you show up for work? And go deeper. It's not for money. It's not for these things. What drives you and what brought you to be in that position? Now, if it wasn't for the way I grew up, if it wasn't for being the oldest, if it wasn't for being put in that position of having to take care of everybody else, or having that feeling that I need to be there for everybody else, then I wouldn't have this drive. It might be something else. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. But I relate that back to ACN. Now, why or how? Because I have that drive to be there for other people, no matter what I'm going through, how I'm feeling. I'm going to show up for you guys. If I make this commitment, I will do everything in my power to switch every appointment or anything I have to be here for you guys on this call. Nothing can stop me. Now, I remember Miss Nicole Woods. Miss Nicole Woods had just found out that she had a close death. And I don't know if any of you guys were on this call. That morning, someone near and dear and close to her had recently passed away. And she was on this call. Why? Because she needed to, in her heart, be here for us. Sometimes we say this about events, but it's about this call is an event as well. Sometimes the events need you, but sometimes you need the events as well. And even though as much as she wanted to, and I'm sure she was just not in the right mind and just said, I can't be here to motivate people right now. I can't be here to help them through whatever they're going through, because I'm going through something myself, but she still showed up because of you. I have that same drive. I show up. The reason why I like to build a team is because if I didn't have a team, who knows if I would even build or do anything. I have to show up for my team no matter what's happening in my life. I have to put that aside. Nobody ever knows. Someone had mentioned to me, I had said something, and he commented and said, but like, you're always so strong. You're always so confident. You're always have this perception about you. Y'all, that's what I show you. A lot happens inside and to me, as it does to you as well. And they say, well, I can't be like you. I have other stuff going on. So do I. So does everybody. But you have to figure out, I know what drives me to show up for other people, to show up for my team. I need to be here when they call on me. I can't say, you know what? No, because if I fail them, I'm failing me as well. So I really want you to take this time this week, challenge yourself at the beginning of the month, dig deep and find what drives you, not your reason why, not what motivates you, but what truly drives you no matter what. And it's a bad relation, but I'm going to relate this to a drug addict. So with a drug addict, no matter what their situation is, they will always get high. They will have no money, no food, no place to stay. Their kids are God knows where. No, it doesn't matter what's going on in their world. There could be a meteor coming down, a pandemic happening, and they're still meeting people, sharing stuff with people just to get that next fix. And I have people, they're laughing at me, but it's the truth. What is your drug? What drives you to get that next fix, get that next customer? You got to figure out, what is it in you that you cannot not do without feeling those withdrawals? And that is what's going to help push your ACN business. That's what's going to help push you through these no's, through these bad times, these bad moments, whatever is happening in life. Maybe it's not even bad. Maybe you're just complacent. I know some people that are just like, you know what? I'm complacent. I don't have any motivation, but I don't have any bad feelings as well. I just don't want to. Find that drive that says, you know what, even if I don't want to, I am going to do it. So I hope we can dig deep, and this really came from Miss Jocelyn Driscoll in giving us these 10 things that we need to do. Finding what motivates you and drives you is part of that as well. Those 10 things that we need to do, those will relate back to what drives you, what you think is important to you. I know I think I'm going a little bit over, but I know I'm perfect in time. Perfect. But I really think that this is important, and it goes above and beyond what we've been doing here. Go deeper than just surface level, you guys. Figure out what drives you, get you to where you want to be, and what's stopping you. Why haven't you retired your parents yet? Why haven't you moved your sister's kids into a better school district or gotten your kids through college? Whatever that is, something is holding you back, and it's because you haven't figured out what drives you. So dig deep, figure it out. And once you figure it out in yourself, then and only then is when you're able to help other people. The whole purpose of this and ACN, I feel like, is helping other people. And I wasn't able to help other people figure out their purpose or their reason why or any of these things until I found it out myself. So it's super important to figure out what drives you so you can identify and help people figure out what drives them, get them to their next promotion, get them to their next goal, whatever it is, their next income level, get them to the next position. And that is based on you starting with you. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. I hope this hit home for a couple people. I know it's a little bit different, but it really is near and dear to my heart, like a lot of my topics, just because I talk about stuff I'm going through and what's important to me. So thank you so much.